Couple of winter weather headlines remaining in place for the next couple of hours until 6 p.m. for areas toward Redfield, Huron, Mitchell, and Chamberlain until 9 p.m. tonight. Madison, Brookings, Marshall, and into Worthington as snow showers continue to push through eastern and east central KELOLAND. A few of those flurries at first tonight, then becoming partly cloudy. Lows will be on either side of 10 in many locations, especially to the northeast. We'll talk about the rest of your 7-day forecast coming up, and until then, First at 4 starts right now.
Live from KELOLAND Media Group. KELOLAND News, first at 4.
Coming up, we're going to take you to a court hearing involving a crash that left 2 teenagers dead.
Plus, how a dog found taped inside a bag in Des Moines is recovering.
Plus, how many people are experiencing homelessness in Minnesota. Good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in to First at 4. I'm Don Jorgensen.
And I'm Kelly Volk. A hearing is underway this week to determine whether a teenager accused of speeding and DUI in a deadly crash will be tried in adult court. Damian Laurelez was 17 years old in April. That's when he's accused of driving an SUV that crashed into a Central Sioux Falls home, killing 2 teenagers and sending several others to the hospital. Today in court, one of the first police officers to arrive on the scene took the stand. They also showed body camera video from when he arrived.
The judge also heard from 2 kids who were in the SUV and a witness who saw the vehicle speed by before hearing the crash. KELOLAND's Carly Phillips listened in on the hearing and will bring you a full report tonight on KELOLAND News.
Today, the Highway Patrol released the name of the woman killed in a weekend crash on the southern edge of Sioux Falls. On Saturday afternoon, 22-year-old Brittany Lynn Lee was driving south on Interstate 229, exiting onto I-29 south when she lost control of her car, went off the road and hit a tree. She died at the scene.
A woman has died from injuries suffered in a crash east of Sturgis last week. A pickup was heading west on I-90 around 8:30 in the morning on December 10th when the driver lost control. It went into the median and rolled. The driver and passenger were taken to a local hospital. The 80-year-old passenger died from her injuries yesterday.
One person was arrested for DUI at a sobriety checkpoint in Cottington County over the weekend. The South Dakota Highway Patrol says over 100 cars passed through the checkpoint. Authorities say 2 other violations were also addressed. Watertown Police and Cottington County Sheriff's Office helped with the checkpoint.
All right, let's get a check of the weather. We've got some snow that we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's a little icy out there in some spots.
Gloomy and not a great day out there, Adam.
No, not really, especially if you're going to be headed home within the next hour or so. We are dealing with some bands of moderate snowfall in portions of east central South Dakota that are trying to move on down to the south and east. Let's get right to live Doppler radar. And you can see that snow continuing to push on through the Sioux Falls bubble, doing its best to try and hold. But we'll see if this one little band, Brookings down toward Madison, just a little bit north and east of Mitchell, we'll see if that can hold steady and try and clip Sioux Falls as this moves on through. It's basically going to be the last decent shot to get accumulating snowfall, especially to the south and east as we go through the rest of the evening. That being said, though, we have been getting a couple of reports of snowfall totals out of the area, around an inch or 2 in a couple of locations, but these are still some pretty early and preliminary reports that are coming in, including 2 miles south of Huron, getting a little over an inch so far. But again, that's really the only thing we've got there. In terms of Sioux Falls, well, 0.2 of an inch officially at the airport. But again, might get a little more at the last moment. Here's Falls Park, 30, north wind to 7 miles per hour. The fall's starting to freeze over again and will continue to do so through the end of the week before we start to thaw out a little bit later on next week as we get ready for a warm holiday season coming around. Meanwhile, it's looking pretty frozen over Lake Madison, 27 with a north wind at 8 miles per hour. That snow continuing to move on through. Tomorrow, well, it depends on what side of the river you're on. We're looking at 20s and a couple of teens for highs in eastern and northeastern KELOLAND respectively. But if you jump over the river to the west, it's a different story. We're talking about 30s, even some mid to upper 40s for highs tomorrow. But don't get used to that. We're going to be talking about a little bit of everything in the 7-day forecast. More of that as we head through the hour.
Thank you, Adam. A promising update in a case of animal abuse in Des Moines. After a week of care, an emaciated bulldog is regaining its strength. A Lyft driver spotted the dog last week. The driver put his job on hold to help. This is how he found the dog. Investigators say someone taped the bag closed, preventing the dog from walking.
As of now, the dog continues to recover. Its condition is improving. It's not ready for adoption yet, but they're trying to work it that way. And then as far as the investigation goes, we've got a lot of leads that have come in. Some of them look better than others.
Police say the bulldog weighed just over 23 pounds when he was rescued.
Well, even in cold weather, more Minnesotans are living outside than a decade ago. A new survey of the state's unsheltered population last year showed a 10% increase from 10 years ago. Kirsten Mitchell with our CBS affiliate in Minneapolis looks into the new data and how advocates are hoping that it shapes policies to end homelessness in Minnesota.
The Minnesota Homeless Study happens every 3 years and gives us the most comprehensive look at who experiences homelessness in our state and why. Now, new data gives us a look at the most visible yet hard to reach population.
Winter has arrived, so have the dangers for Minnesotans living outside, from battling extreme cold.
So then you can put like 2 sweaters underneath and be warm.
To encampment fires, like this one last week in Minneapolis, where officials say multiple propane tanks exploded, spreading fire to a nearby home.
All of our data really points to people doing much better if they are inside.
Results from the Minnesota Homeless Study show 78% of unsheltered Minnesotans have lived outside for more than a year and are stuck in long-term homelessness.
The things that I think were most disheartening, I would say, are some of the other more specific findings once we really dug into individual experiences.
Study co-director Rebecca Sales points to Native Americans, who make up 2% of the state's population, but represent 20% of the homeless population and 23% of those who are unsheltered.
That's just a really, really significant gap and disparity to see such a small population represented in such a large way.
The study also found unsheltered women experience much higher rates of violence and exploitation than men, and there's reasons why people choose to live outside rather than in a shelter.
Are there enough shelter beds? And often the answer is no, there aren't enough shelter beds. Another thing that is important to consider is the reason somebody might not want to use a shelter, access shelter services is because of past experiences they've had in shelter.
Sales says addressing substance abuse and improving access to mental health services would be most impactful.
I think if more can be done to address homelessness itself as opposed to the visibility, I think we would be much further ahead.
In Minneapolis, Kirsten Mitchell, WCCO News.